Perry McCarthy was the original Stig on Top Gear. Perry, were they right to get rid of him?
Well, first off, I think all the arguments were really well put by David there. But were they right to get rid of him? I think that by the time Tony Hall got hold of this poison chalice, he had absolutely no choice but to sack Jeremy. My bugbear, as I've been saying, has been about the way it was initially handled, and I feel that by putting it immediately in the public eye, i.e. by suspending Jeremy and taking Top Gear off air, then it was totally open to public scrutiny, whereas I do believe there was the opportunity to have just taken a bit more time, collect all the facts, and just see, to understand if there were any options rather than the one many people were looking for, fire him immediately.
OK, Sonia Poulton, listening to that, what do you think?
I have to say this, it's a fantastic message that the BBC has sent out, and I have been very critical at times about some of the things that the BBC have done, but in terms of this, I think it's an amazing message, and here's why. It's a very strong thing to say that no matter how rich you are, no matter how popular you are, no matter how much revenue you bring in for your company, you are never too big to start assaulting and verbally abusing your colleagues. So it's a wonderful thing, because I talk to people who are involved in workplace bullying, and it would be absolutely awful if somebody with such a huge profile as Jeremy Clarkson was allowed to allow this pass. What really disturbs me is actually what people have done is turn the victim into the perpetrator. It's absolutely awful. Some of the Twitter messages, some of the online comments which are directed at the producer.
Well, at Oisin Tymon.
Absolutely.
Because they blame him for being
for getting in the way.
Yeah.
Yes, for getting in the way of Jeremy Clarkson.
Stig, we should actually spare a word for Oisin, who I don't know personally, but he has been put in a terrible position, and he didn't even report it initially himself, I think, did he?
I've got absolutely no truck at all with the people who are abusing this poor guy, because it's totally out of line, and especially the language they're using. So, you know, count me out of that one. I hope that the guy manages to come back to work and continues his career unharassed. I really do. But, you know, I have to disagree with Sonia on certain things. I think it's very easy to just stand there and say the immediate things, to say this shows that nobody's bigger, everybody has to be, the BBC have made a great stance. Well, the BBC haven't been perfect in this whatsoever, and they were the people who actually leaked a likeage to Jeremy with Jimmy Savile. Who the hell is doing that?
Well, look, I'm in no doubt whatsoever that there's various things that have been going on behind the scenes. But, you know, we are not talking about somebody who's got an entirely clear slate, are we? And the truth is that many people are really happy to pitch this as if it's a left versus right argument. No, it isn't. It's a wrong versus right argument.
Do you think he should have... I mean, people have done a whole list of his gaffes, and I've got them all here. There's too many to read out.
Yeah, well, some of them are just freedom of speech.
Well, I was going to say, do you think he should have faced sanction for calling Gordon Brown a one-eyed Scottish idiot?
Well, that's freedom of speech, isn't it?
Well,
and
I'm asking Sonia.
Made most of the nation laugh.
Sonia?
So,
yeah.
You know,
hang on, Perry, because Sonia's the one to answer that.
No, I have to say no. I think
that's
that,
all right.
I think that is freedom of speech, but there are some things that he said which are patently bigoted.
OK, I don't wish to be rude to the people of Birmingham, but I'm sorry, the accent makes you sound thick.
Yeah, horrible, but still
sackable?
No sanction.
No,
not sackable. I'm talking more the racist stuff that falls out of. He's a casual racist, is Jeremy Clarkson, and I'm well aware that people will be listening to this getting very upset because people, you know, they are taken in by him. They love him, and I understand that, and that's absolutely fine. But I'm not.
Well, he denies that completely, and Perry, you should come back on that, whether or not the couple of infractions on Top Gear to do with race, one of them the word slopes, and then the N-word, whether they point to something unpleasant in Clarkson.
Well, first of all, I watched that video where he was supposed to have used the N-word quite a few times, and I certainly didn't see it or hear it. The one about the Asians, yeah, no, I wasn't particularly keen on that gag. But what we're doing here is that we're looking back at a catalogue of these gaffes. Now, the guy's been on TV an awful long time. We're not looking back at a catalogue of physical and verbal assault. So this is, you know, thank goodness, if one might say it like that, the first time it's happened.
That we know of.
That we know of. A very bad day. Well, sorry, Sonia, allow me to finish. Did it come at the end of a very bad day where the man is totally stressed, he's unforgivably cracked?
Oh, my goodness.
That's exactly what's happened.
I mean, you are actually justifying violence. That's not okay.
I don't believe I was justifying violence.
Yes, you are, because what you're saying is, did it come at the end of a long day? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he had to go through a desert, through a sandstorm to get to that hotel. There is absolutely no excuse for lamping somebody, no excuse whatsoever, and I'm very disappointed that you're here justifying that. It's not acceptable.
Thank you very much indeed. Sonia Poulton, broadcaster and journalist, and Perry McCarthy, who was the original Stig on Top Gear.